Most garden soil doesn't fail all at once. It doesn't suddenly stop growing food. It declines slowly, quietly, season after season, until one year you realize yields are down, plants look weaker, pests are showing up earlier, and nothing performs the way it used to. And the instinct is to fix the symptoms. Add fertilizer, add compost, water more, try a different variety. But what's actually happening underneath is something deeper. The structure of your soil is breaking down. Nutrients are being pulled out faster than they're being replenished. Disease and pest cycles are becoming more established. And the system is losing balance. This is what I call soil collapse. And the cause is almost always the same. Planting the same crops in the same place over and over again, tomatoes in the same bed, peppers in the same corner, beans in the same row. It feels logical because it worked before, but underground you're slowly draining specific nutrients, concentrating pathogens, and narrowing the biological diversity that keeps soil resilient. The soil still looks fine, the plants still grow, but each season they perform a little worse. And most gardeners never connect that decline to the fact that nothing has moved in years. In this video, I'm going to show you the crop rotation system that resets your soil naturally, breaks disease cycles, and keeps your beds productive year after year without constantly trying to fix problems after they show up. To understand why rotation works, you have to understand what different crops actually do to the soil. Not all vegetables use the soil the same way. Heavy feeders like tomatoes, peppers, squash, and corn pull large amounts of nutrients, especially nitrogen, from the soil. After a full season, that bed is measurably depleted. If you plant another round of heavy feeders in the same spot the next year, they're pulling from soil that's already low. The plants grow weaker, yields drop, and stress plants become easier targets for disease. Light feeders like root crops, carrots, beets, onions, radishes use fewer nutrients and pull from different layers of the soil, allowing surface fertility to recover. Leaf crops like lettuce, spinach, and kale are moderate feeders that primarily use nitrogen but don't strip the soil the way fruiting crops do. And then there are soil builders, legumes like beans and peas. These are different. They don't just use nutrients, they add them. Through a symbiotic relationship with bacteria in their roots, they fix nitrogen from the air into the soil. When those roots break down, that nitrogen becomes available to the next crop. That's not theory, it's measurable. A bed that grows beans will have more available nitrogen the following season than a bed that grew tomatoes. Crop rotation works because it sequences these roles. Instead of draining the same nutrients over and over again, you cycle between depletion, recovery, and rebuilding. This is why traditional farms rotated crops for centuries before synthetic fertilizers existed. They did not have soil tests or nutrient analysis. They simply observed that crops grown in the same spot declined over time, and crops that followed beans grew stronger. The science caught up later, but the practice was proven long before anyone understood the chemistry behind it. The second reason rotation matters is disease suppression, and this is where it becomes non-negotiable. Soil-borne pathogens don't disappear when the season ends. They stay in the soil, waiting. Fusarium, verticillium, blight, nematodes. These organisms build up when the same crop grows in the same location repeatedly. Each season you replant that crop in the same bed, you're feeding the pathogen population that targets it. By year 3 or 4, disease pressure can become strong enough to significantly reduce yield or kill plants outright, even when everything else is done correctly. This is why gardeners often see problems get worse each year without understanding why. I went through this with tomatoes, 3 seasons in the same raised bed. And by the 3rd year, early blight showed up weeks earlier than usual and wiped out half the harvest. Nothing else had changed. Same watering, same care, same varieties. The only difference was repetition. The following year, I moved tomatoes to a different bed. The old bed got beans, then greens. 2 seasons later, tomatoes went back, and the blight pressure was gone. Rotation didn't treat the disease. It removed the environment that allowed it to build in the first place. And this is the part most gardeners miss. You cannot spray your way out of a rotation problem. Fungicides treat symptoms on the current plant, but they do nothing to reduce the pathogen load in the soil. The only thing that reduces that load is removing the host crop long enough for the population to decline on its own. That takes 1 to 2 seasons without the target crop. No product can do what time and rotation do for free. Here's the system I use, and it's intentionally simple. Divide your garden into 4 sections. That can be 4 beds or 4 zones within a larger space. Each section rotates through 4 crop groups in sequence. First, legumes, beans and peas, your soil builders. Next, fruiting crops, tomatoes, peppers, squash, your heavy feeders. Then root crops, carrots, beets, onions, your light feeders. And finally, leaf crops and brassicas, lettuce, spinach, kale, cabbage, your soil conditioners, and moderate feeders. Each year, everything moves forward 1 section. What grew in bed 1 moves to bed 2 to bed 3, and so on. After 4 years, every bed has gone through the full cycle. It has been depleted, restored, balanced, and rebuilt. And the difference is noticeable. Beds that used to need heavy compost every season start producing strong crops with minimal inputs. The soil becomes darker, looser, and easier to work. Pest pressure drops. Growth becomes more consistent. That's not because you're adding more, it's because the system is finally balanced. I have been running this rotation for 3 full cycles now. The beds that used to need heavy compost applications every spring produce strong crops with just a light half-inch top dressing. I spend less on amendments every year. I deal with less disease every year. And the plants are visibly healthier than they were when everything went in the same spot every season. Now here's the rule that accelerates everything, the piece most gardeners skip: never leave soil empty. And if a bed finishes early and sits unused for more than a few weeks, that's lost opportunity. Instead of leaving it bare, plant a cover crop. After pulling summer crops, sow something like winter rye or crimson clover. These crops protect the soil, suppress weeds, and add organic matter. Clover also fixes nitrogen just like beans. In spring, cut the cover crop at the base and leave it on the surface. Don't pull it out, don't till it in. The roots break down underground, improving structure and drainage. The top layer decomposes into organic matter, feeding the soil. Within a few weeks, you can plant directly into it, and the difference is immediate. The soil holds moisture better, it feels softer. Plants establish faster. The beds that get winter cover crops produce noticeably more vigorous growth the following spring. Darker leaves, thicker stems, faster establishment. The difference is visible within the first 2 weeks of planting, and it costs nothing except a few dollars of cover crop seed scattered across empty beds in fall. I've run beds with and without cover crops side by side, and the ones with cover crops consistently outperform the others. Rotation prevents decline. Cover cropping accelerates improvement. Together, they turn your garden into a system that doesn't just maintain itself, it gets better every year. That's the shift. You're no longer trying to fix soil problems after they show up. You're running a system that prevents them in the first place.